Welcome, leadership students, to this next topic of our leadership training. As we continue along this journey of developing ourselves as better leaders in our schools and our community, today this topic is going to be about welcoming and embracing change in our lives. Okay, I know we're in very, very different times right now, and we are all kind of out of our social norms and kind of out of our comfort zone. And that's going to be the premise of what this presentation is going to be about. Even me doing presentations with you this way is a little bit different and a little bit out of my comfort zone as well. But that's what we're going to be talking about today, is welcoming and embracing change and stepping outside of our comfort zone in this presentation today. Okay, so with this presentation, we're going to be going over 5 different reasons or benefits that you can gain from embracing change and welcoming change into your lives. Along with, at the end, we will be wrapping this up as to how this whole concept of welcoming and embracing change and stepping outside of our comfort zone can help us resist the trends and the traps of underage smoking and vape use. So you'll see right here on our screen today, we have our 5 reasons or 5 benefits of what we can gain from welcoming change into our lives. Our first reason is education and what we can learn from stepping outside of our comfort zones. Number 2 is adaptability, a skill that we can gain and be able to adapt with the changes that come in and out of our lives. Number 3, a reason for something that we all strive for is self-improvement, to constantly improve and become better people and ultimately better leaders. Number 4 is an appreciation for our failures, for the times we do slip up and fall and fail. But in order to do that, we will be able to enjoy our successes when we finally do break through and succeed. Okay. And the reason number 5, something that I'm sure we're all interested in, is a way to make our lives a little more interesting. Okay. So these are 5 benefits of what we can get from welcoming and embracing change into our lives. Okay. So get into benefit number 1 right here is education and what we can learn from stepping outside of our comfort zone and embracing change. Okay. Stepping outside of our comfort zone, this is not a natural thing for some people. And you are going to fail sometimes when you step outside of that comfort zone, but that is okay. You learn more from your failures than you do from your successes, really. Something that you will notice is a constant theme for me in this presentation is that I will be using a lot of sports analogies. I grew up as an athlete for most of my life, and so I will be using and relating a lot of things that I talk about back to my experiences with sports growing up. Okay, but something that my coaches always taught me growing up in sports is that you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes. Okay, and as we step outside of our comfort zone, that transition is not always a smooth one. There will be times when, yes, we may fail and we may slip up, but that's okay. It's what's important from that is to take those failures that we have and to learn from them and let that be a part of furthering our education. So that way, when we're faced with those situations again in the future, we learn from those experiences and we're better prepared for to face them when they happen again in our future. Okay, so throughout this presentation, I will be having us practice a few different activities and skills in order to practice, for us to practice stepping outside of our comfort zone. Okay, so as you will see right here, this is a visual of a tree that I had drawn for an activity that actually one of my college professors had me do. Okay, and I'll let you know right now, I am not an artist, so please do not judge my drawing. Okay, I am terrible at art. I cannot even draw a straight line. Okay, but this was an activity, the result of a tree of what I did for a similar activity for what I'll have you do. Okay, so as you will see, the first skill I want us to practice is I want us to take our non-dominant hand, which means all that means is if you're right-handed, you're going to use your left hand. If you're left-handed, you're going to use your right hand. Okay. But what I want you to do is I want you to draw the best picture of a tree, something similar to what I did. I don't expect yours to be as detailed as mine. That's okay. But I want you to draw a picture of a tree the best way you can with your non-dominant hand. Okay. And then under that picture you have, under that picture that you draw, I want you to use your non-dominant hand again, and you're going to write your name under that picture of the tree that you draw. Okay, so teachers, feel free to pause this presentation and give the time needed for the students to go through the activities as we go through this presentation. Okay, but I want you guys to take a few minutes again with your non-dominant hand. You're going to draw the best picture of a tree that you can. Okay, and then you're going to sign your autograph right under that picture using your non-dominant hand. Okay, we will give you guys a few minutes to go through these masterpieces, and we'll come back and see what you guys have. Okay, so I hope you guys had a great time coming up and creating with those masterpieces with those trees that you had with your non-dominant hands. Okay, again, trying things a little bit differently and stepping outside of our comfort zone, but again, may not look perfect, but that's all right. It's helping us grow as people and leaders, right? That's the point of this presentation. Okay, so the next benefit and reason we're going to get to as far as welcoming and embracing change is adaptability. Okay, and one key benefit or synonym, I guess, we can attach to adaptability is being flexible. Okay, the more flexible we are to sudden change in our lives, the more equipped we are to handle those changes when they do come in our lives. And we all know, we've all been there at some point in life. Life isn't always going to be smooth and go the way we have it planned, right? There's going to be sudden changes that are thrown at us and things we have to adapt to kind of on the spot. So the more naturally flexible we are as people, the better we are to be able to adapt to those changes when they do come in our lives. Okay, and on the flip side of that, though, more people that are more resistant to change, it can actually cause them a little bit more stress when those sudden changes do happen in life. Like we said, that is going to be a natural part of life. There's going to be things that are thrown at you last minute that you have to learn to last minute to adapt to, right? So the more we are able to be flexible as people and as leaders in order to accept those changes and be able to adapt to them, the less stress we actually create in ourselves when those situations do occur, okay? So the second skill or second activity I want us to go through in your class, I want you guys to pause this video, take a few minutes and look over this discussion question and discuss it. You can either break up into discussion groups and discuss it with your peers, or you guys can go through it with your teacher and have a group class discussion. However you guys would want to do it is up to you. But I want you guys to take a minute and look at this discussion question and ask yourselves, why do you think it is so difficult for some people to change? Okay, like we said, not everyone is as welcoming to change as some of us may be. Okay, but I want you guys to ask yourselves that question and discuss it in the group. How or why do you think it is so difficult for some people to accept change into their lives? Okay, so I hope you guys had some good discussion with that discussion question. And again, come up with some good reasons as to why you feel some people may be a little bit more resistant to accepting change into their lives, okay, or stepping out of their comfort zone, per se, okay? The next topic or the next benefit we're going to get into as far as accepting change into our lives is improvement. That is something we're all striving for, is self-improvement. And you'll kind of see how all these subtopics that we talk about kind of build upon each other, okay? But self-improvement, and again, is something that we all strive for. But in order for us to grow as people and leaders, which is our ultimate goal from this, change is necessary. We don't grow as people or as leaders from constantly doing the same things over and over and getting the same results from those actions that we do, okay? We have to change and step outside of our comfort zone in order to grow as people and as leaders, okay? So change is necessary for us to grow as leaders and as people. But also on that same note, change does not have to be sudden, okay? We're not asking you to go to bed tonight and wake up tomorrow a completely different person. That's not the kind of change we're asking for here, okay? We want that change to be gradual, taking step by step and changing little by little throughout a long period of time. That way we know that that improvement is more sustainable for a long-term change and long-term self-improvement, okay? If you just look at the way that technology has changed over the years, most of you guys in middle school, high school age students that are watching this presentation, imagine your parents when they were your age, when your parents were in middle school or high school, right? Just imagine how far technology has come during that time, okay? Back when your parents were probably your age, the most advanced piece of technology they probably carried on them was a pager. And I know most of you are probably looking at me like, Casey, what the heck is a pager, right? Well, that's a discussion you can actually have with your teacher, and that's another discussion you guys can have right there. But like I said, a pager was probably the most advanced piece of technology they had on them back when they were your age. Nowadays, almost every high school student has a cell phone on them, even most middle school students as well, right? So again, technology has changed drastically throughout the years, and we have had to improve and change along with those changes in order just to keep up with the times or even stay ahead of the times. Okay, so change is necessary for growth and improvement, just like we've mentioned earlier. Okay, I will harken this back to a personal example of mine, again, going back to sports. I was a high school basketball player, and as we know, as we practice with our first skill of doing things with our non-dominant hand, my coach would always get on me about becoming a better dribbler with my left hand. Okay, I was not as coordinated with my left hand as I was with my right hand, obviously. So I knew that in order for me to improve and be the star player that he wanted me to be, I had to improve my coordination and my dribbling with my non-dominant hand. And so that is an example of how we have to kind of step outside of our comfort zone in order to, like we said, grow and reach our full potential in what it is that we want to do, okay? So self-improvement is definitely one benefit we can gain from welcoming change and stepping outside of our comfort zones. Okay, so for this next activity, I want you to take a minute. I assume you guys are all in your seats, probably watching this presentation. So I want you to just go ahead, sit back into your seat and just fold your arms. Naturally, we will all have one arm that goes on top of the other, okay? So for me, it's my left arm. So I know I probably look backwards on the screen to you guys, but my left arm goes on top of my right arm, okay? So I want you to take a second, and whatever arm goes on top of your other arm, I want you to switch it and do the opposite, okay? So whatever arm doesn't feel comfortable, put that on top, okay? Sit there for about 10, 15 seconds and just kind of see how uncomfortable it kind of makes you feel for a little while, okay? All right, you guys can all uncross your arms now. And again, like we said, that may have felt a little bit uncomfortable for you guys, but again, that's what we're practicing these little skills for. And again, it doesn't have to be something that's big and life-changing. It can just be little things that we try every day to try to step outside of our comfort zones, okay? So next topic and next reason we will get into, or next subcategory for embracing change, is learning to appreciate our failures in order to enjoy our successes, okay? As we mentioned before, when we step outside of our comfort zones and try new things, it will not always go 100% perfect every time. It will not go completely smooth, okay? There will be times when we may fail and we may slip up. That is okay. Like we said, with our education piece, it is important for us to learn from those experiences and be able to have us build upon our education, become more adaptable as people, which ultimately helps us improve as people and leaders, right? So we learn from those failures and we appreciate our failures. That way, once we finally do break through, we are able to enjoy the success and know that it came from a process of us learning and building up to that point to be able to enjoy that success, okay? So don't be afraid to appreciate those failures, but also take time also to enjoy those successes that we do have in life, because both of those things are very important when embracing change, okay? So I have a video right here from probably my all-time favorite athlete, Kobe Bryant. Most of you are aware of who he is and his legacy and what he stood for and what he was about. But in this video, he describes what it feels like to lose, okay? So what he can learn from it. So I will let Kobe Bryant speak his piece here, and then we can have some thoughts on how we feel about that.
What does losing feel like to you?
It's exciting.
Why is it exciting?
Because it means you have different ways to get better. There's certain things that you can figure out that you can take advantage of, right? Certain weaknesses that were exposed that you need to shore up, right? So it was exciting. I mean, it sucks to lose.
Right.
But at the same time, there are answers there if you just look at them.
Because you get the information from losing more than from winning, probably.
Yeah. I mean, the answers are there when you win, too. You just have to look at them.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a constant process. It's exciting when you win. It's exciting when you lose, because the process should be exactly the same, whether you win or you lose. As you go back and you look and you find things that you could have done better. You find things that you've done well that worked. You figure out how did they work, why did they work, how can you make them work again?
Okay, so again, from looking at my favorite athlete, Kobe Bryant, and some words of wisdom he says, again, learning from those failures and the times that you lose and you don't necessarily succeed, but you also learn from your successes and the times you do win in life, okay? You learn from both ends, okay? But that's why we said previously, and the previous reason is important to appreciate our failures, but also enjoy our successes as well, okay? And getting into our last reason here and our last benefit of embracing and welcoming change into our lives is that life becomes more interesting. Okay, we all have our daily routines and our mundane social norms in our lives and everything like that. And after a while, doing the same thing every day and having the same routine can get kind of boring. Okay, so just stepping outside of our comfort zone and doing things differently can be just a small way to make life just a little more interesting, right? So for instance, like we say, one thing that I kind of like to do just for fun every now and then is if I'm eating dinner at the dinner table, I'll just try to eat dinner with my left hand. And my wife looks at me like I'm crazy, but I don't care. Like I said, I'm just doing it to make it more interesting, right? Or if I'm in the bathroom brushing my teeth, you know, you guys, next time you guys are in the bathroom brushing your teeth, try to brush your teeth with your left hand and try to see how well that goes, okay? I'm not saying it's gonna be the prettiest thing ever, but like we said, that's a part of just trying something new. And like we said, just making life more interesting. Or if you have the same route that you take to back and forth from home to school every day, maybe try to take a different route home and see if there's another way you can try to get home, or another back road or something else you probably haven't seen before, right? So like we said, change does not have to be drastic. It can be little things we try to do throughout our day to try to make things more interesting. Okay, so again, change does not have to be sudden or drastic. It can just be little things that we do to step outside of our comfort zone and what our social norms are to try to make our lives a little more interesting. Okay. So for this lasting note right here, this last activity that I want you guys to do is I want you guys to take time and think about what is one thing that you would like to change about yourself. So one thing that you would like to change for the better that you feel would be an improvement by stepping outside of your comfort zone, right? So for example, for something like that for me would be like when I was your guys' age, I hated public speaking. Okay, I never thought I would be in a position like I am right now with the Tulare County Office of Education, giving presentations and doing public speaking and teaching classes the way that I do. Okay, I hated public speaking. So, but the more I practiced it and the more I got used to it and stepped outside of my comfort zone, the more comfortable I got with it. Okay, so like I said, that's just a personal example for me, but you can think of something for you that you know would be a little bit out of your comfort zone. Okay, I want you to ask yourself what that one thing is, and then ask yourself what would be a positive result about changing that about myself or improving that about myself. Okay, so what would be a positive result or a positive outcome from changing that thing about myself? Okay, we'll take a few minutes, think about that, discuss it in your class and everything. Give you a few minutes to go through that, pause the video. We'll come back and see what you guys come up with. So I hope you guys were able to have some good discussion and get into some deep thought about what are some things we could possibly work on to step outside of our comfort zone, to work to ultimately, like we said, improve ourselves as people and as leaders. That's our ultimate goal with this, okay? The last point I want to make here with this presentation before I let you guys go is this topic of resisting trends. And again, this whole time we've talked about doing things outside of the norm and stepping outside of our comfort zone to grow as people and as leaders, right? Well, this last trend of what I want to talk about and discuss with you guys, kind of wrapping this whole topic up together, is this new common trend with teenagers of smoking and vaping. We know that peer pressure is something that honestly sucks to deal with, okay? And it never gets easier the older you get, okay? But like we said, the more comfortable you get with resisting those trends and not doing what everyone else does, because it's easy to make the choice to fall into those traps of those trends of underage use, underage smoking or vaping and drinking. You know, you can just, it's easy to just fall into the trend of saying like, oh, well, everybody's doing it, everybody's drinking, everybody's smoking, so I'm just gonna do that to try to fit in as well. It's hard to make the choice to stand out from the group and not fall into those trends and those traps. But that's what separates us as people and as leaders. Ultimately, as leaders, we stand apart from the pack. We don't just follow the trend and become another statistic of what everyone else is doing. We set our own paths and we stand out from the pack. Okay, so that's why I said I want us to get comfortable with doing things that aren't necessarily normal for other people and stepping outside of those comfort zones, because it will be hard. I will not lie to you. It will be hard to resist those temptations of when you're faced to or those peer pressures of smoking and vaping and things like that. If you haven't already been faced with those situations, it's not easy to turn those things down, right? But like I said, that is what separates us as leaders. And the more we get used to embracing change and stepping outside of our comfort zone, the better we can be prepared to resist trends of falling into the traps of what everyone else is doing and becoming another statistic. Okay, so that's ultimately what I want us to take away from this this whole concept of welcoming and embracing change, is doing things outside of the norm that other people aren't used to doing. But us as leaders and people, we will be better prepared to do that the more we welcome and embrace change in our lives. Okay. So that is it for my presentation. I hope you guys were able to take something new and something learned something new from this presentation. I hope we had a few laughs that we were able to share with each other and trying to do things outside of our comfort zone. But again, like we said, the more we get used to doing things outside of our comfort zone and welcoming change into our lives, the better adapted we will be for those things in our future, okay? So hope you guys had a good time with this presentation. See you guys again in the future, hopefully. Thank you. Goodbye.